the next topic. I think it'd be really interesting to now talk about whether we believe the recruitment process is fair for diverse candidates, both going into the bar, both going into the solicitor industry. So, Fazeela, what's your perspective on the recruitment process for diverse candidates, and how do you think it can be improved from your perspective?
So I think we first need to acknowledge that the recruitment process doesn't start from putting in the application. It starts from putting the organisation, the chambers, putting the name out there. We've touched on this before when they go into where they advertise. If they're going to private schools, if they're going to they're making a judgment call about who the kind of people they're going to get in. Of course, you're only going to get in that kind of those applications. So I think that the first thing is to look at where they're advertising. If you're advertising only in London, you're only going to get people who already live in London or people that can afford the train travel to get there. Yeah. And that is a key thing that I think prices people out of applying for the bar and that sort of thing. It's already hard enough to pay to get onto the bar course, that 15 grand. Then you've got to pay to get on trains to come down to London. Travel's not cheap. And then also, if you're paying to put applications in for the bar course, these are all added costs which we don't consider. Things like getting a suit that it might cost a lot of money. These are things that are maybe people that have more income that they can afford that. Some people can't, but they still have the same aspirations, the same intellect, the same capability, but financially they don't have that accessibility. And then say, well, you can get a scholarship. Are there enough scholarships about to afford to do these sort of things? You can rely on in-the-court scholarships, but they're limited as well. We can't just say that there's that pot of money. There's not enough accessibility, which I think is the issue. Aside from that financial problem, we also look at the recruitment style, and I think what's important to say is the bar is changing. So when I applied for pupillage, the first round, and a lot of the sets that I got, the interviews that I had, the first round was 3 set questions, and I think that's really helpful because you are just answering 3 questions that you know everybody else has to answer. You're judged plainly on your answers to those questions. Now I can't tell from the paper point of view, I don't have that understanding, but from the first round interview, my answers were what I knew from the answers that I gave, that's what it was based on, and I think that's really helpful. But I think what the interviews have to understand as well is they have to understand that person's achievements based on the context they were in. Look at where they've come from, what challenges they've had to face. Allow and see their achievements in that context. If they got a 2-1 from a university and see their background and see what they've had to challenges they've gone through to get to where they are, that's where you see the strength of a person. It's not just the grades. And I think in second round interviews, when you take on a more holistic understanding of that person, that's where you see their true value. So I think that's what you've got to focus on in the recruitment process. But I know that the bar is getting better, but there's still a far way to go.
What's your perspective?
I completely agree. I want to say that it's not even the case that recruitment begins from a geographical perspective, but I want to take it even further back. So it's kind of because I remember when I was in 6th form, when you do certain things, you kind of get turned away from them. And even if it's someone else at the head of 6th form, kind of like, they're just not going to accept this, they're just not going to accept that when we apply for university. Sometimes they're right. But then it's also a case of, sometimes, I remember obviously with the UCAS application system, can't you just let the person have a chance? And then if it didn't work, it's fine, but you've taken the opportunity away from somebody else. And that happens to lots of children, in particular if they're not from particularly privileged backgrounds, at all levels, from the time they were in primary school all the way through secondary school. And I remember finishing my A-levels and I felt like an old man. And people used to sort of people used to laugh. But I was like, no, because I said, the things I've had to go through to fight in school to get support, a lot of my white peers that are of the similar academic capability will only face that kind of tiredness when they're like maybe 35, 40, maybe been here for 25 years. But I've had to face it and I'm barely 18 and I'm exhausted. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand, I think, about systemic discrimination and in particular racism. And it's very tiring to have to go through. You're having to constantly, you're either being asked questions that nobody else is being asked, You're having to think of things that no one else will have to think of. You're always having to second guess yourself. You're always having to think of what they want to do. Your mind is having to work overdrive when in reality you should just be able to walk down the street. But you're not walking down the street, you're kind of going from left to right and then like over the bridge and then down again. And it's really, really tiring. And so that comes through when someone's obviously applying for a particular organisation, because what they think is, if I say this, they might, oh my gosh, you know, if I said that one of my favourite performers is a black performer, oh my god, they're going to think of that. And it's ridiculous, because someone could say, oh, my favourite performer is Celine Dion. No one's going to think of that. But if you said, oh, my favourite performer is Beyonce, and someone might be like, oh, well, they might be thinking this, they might be thinking that. But in reality, you just said what you said, because it's what you believe. It's fine. And people take that all the way through the process. And sometimes a lot of people who are recruiting just don't realise of the barriers that some students have gone through and what they think. So if you're taking all of that from your school age, all the way through, from your very first memories in school, all the way through to the time you're about 20, 21, you're potentially applying for a law firm or for chambers or an in-house organisation, they just aren't aware of that. And that will definitely influence your answers, and it will definitely influence how capable you feel you are for the role. And sometimes it's not even the case that you said something incorrect, it's the case that you're second guessing yourself. And so therefore you don't come across as confident, because if you're in specific at law, you're looking for somebody that's confident, you come across as someone that feels a bit nervous, a bit shy, you know, maybe they could put themselves forward a bit more, but they're a child who put themselves forward and then they were kind of grabbed back by other people. So they just do that to themselves. I think from a solicitor's perspective, the procedures are getting more diverse, especially in some firms, with kind of blind CV applications, which is quite helpful. But the problem with blind CVs is the CV is blind until you see the person, and then all of a sudden you've got full sight. So all the biases that the person had before, and they're like, oh, this person's wonderful, and they expect them to kind of like waltz in the room, and then they're like, oh, you know, because I've had that before. Like sometimes you've walked into a room and they're looking around for somebody else, and the person that they're looking for is you, and they're not expecting it to look like you. And so that's where, you know, going back to people having to examine themselves and figure out where, like, that child has gone through all their barriers when they're in school. You've got to think, actually, and most people don't do this, and it's pivotal and crucial to do it. You've got to look at you as an adult, where have your barriers come from, or where have your mental barriers in terms of how you perceive other people come from. And that's a huge issue in terms of the fairness of the system. I think you can create the sector and everything like that, but that's what you've got to do in order to make sure it's really fair. So it's a work in progress, but there's more than one issue to confront.
But I think one thing that that candidates have to remember is that if you got through papers, if you're in a public interview, you have a right to be there. They have seen something in you which they want, regardless of whatever you look like. They have seen something in you on paper that they want in their organisation, and I think that's really important. So you walk in there knowing they've seen something that they like. Let me build upon that. Let me show them why they've chosen me. And I think we can't walk in there with a demoralised attitude, thinking, oh, you know, they're going to see this, they're going to not like this about me. They've seen something in me that they also like, and that they want in their chambers or their organisation. So build on that.